Oh, no, it's not good enough. Okay. All right. Excuse the weather. Fingers on lips. Okay, so I'll do some housekeeping rules before we start. Number one, if you're anywhere near us, anyone else, please don't talk, because you prevent everybody from being heard. And whilst I have a loud voice, some people don't, and some people are talking about things quite sensitive to them, and it would just be courteous to shut up. So, if you do want to chat though, because part of the beauty of Let Women Speak is that people make real life connections with people and have proper conversations where they feel they can actually speak freely. And if you want to do that, there's a massive park called Hyde Park, and you can go anywhere, a little bit further away, and have those conversations. So we're happy for you to speak, because it is called Let Women Speak, just not here, unless you have this little square microphone, which is kind of like permission, but obviously we're not really giving you any permission because this is Let Women Speak, and on goes the circular logic. Okay, so that's all I would ask. Right, so we start this by saying, oh, what a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in, why it's almost like being a... It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. So thank you very much for coming. This is a school holiday, so I know some of you are sort of, well, maybe you're somewhere nice instead. And I know it's quite a big deal. For some people, it will have been a really great feat of courage to actually take the steps to come here, worried about the repercussions, worried about being seen, worried about the trans activists, which I think they're coming, but the rain often stops them. I am minded, actually, if we really don't want the trans activists to come, we should meet about 9 o'clock in the morning, because they're all quite lazy. But we'll see if they come, and the police are here, so I'm really happy about that. Maybe the trans activists are slightly put off by the fact that we are now well protected by the police, who recognise our right to free speech. But like Stella Creasy, I'm not counting my babies or my chickens, that they won't turn up. So we've had some great news. I don't think so, but some people call it great news, that actually Keir Starmer understands that it's politically expedient to say he knows what a woman is. Although I don't think he said that 1% of us definitely don't have penises. I don't think he's taken anything back. And I know there's been some congratulatory kind of talk on Twitter about the great work that women have done for 5 or 6 years to get to the point of Keir Starmer admitting that a woman is an adult female. I don't feel quite so celebratory, but if it's politically expedient to say those things, then 2 things. Number one, it means that he's a liar or a coward when he pretended he didn't know what one was. So, I don't know about you, but I don't fancy liars and cowards actually running the country. And I include all of the liars and cowards, so that's about 600 people that currently sit in the House of Commons. I'm quite happy that they no longer feel their seats are safe unless they not have just sat by. Look, I'm familiar with many politicians who claim to have been speaking about this for a long time. And I can tell you not one of them has. Many of them were fearful in the beginning, and I just don't think there is a place for a lack of courage when it comes to running our country. That's not what they're paid 80 odd grand for. with some sort of seal of approval for any job they want to go in after. So for me, I'm just not satisfied unless any one of us is sitting in that House of Parliament come the next general election, or certainly standing against any of the cowards and the liars. So I hope it's going to be one of you. It's certainly going to be me. It might not be Keir Starmer, but like Stella Creasy, I've had a baby. And maybe Nadia Whitmore, I feel like I should stand against her. I feel like I should really go to the wokest of woke and make them accountable. But look, lots of women who come to these events are happy to stand in the next election. Let me just say, just while I have your attention, councils are where the most direct democracy and things happen in this country. Like, it's great to be an MP, you can speak to people and you can have an impact, but councils and PCCs are where you make the most direct action to the most vulnerable people in this country. If you're on a council and you're on the children's committee, you can make sure none of this LGBT shit inclusion actually impacts children, for example, in foster care. You can actually help. You can directly help children in children's homes. You can help elderly women in their own homes. Because when they're making council decisions with people who are rather happy with big budgets that they just spend often on nothing. We've got a road widening in my town for a road that nobody actually uses because they have to spend their budgets. So we need to be, us women, and some of you men, but women, who understand what that money looks like, what that money can do for people the most vulnerable. I would like to see us in those conversations where those decisions are made. Like, do I want my road widening? Not so much. Would I rather that budget being given to schools? Yes, I would. Would I rather the diversity and inclusion officer not have a job anymore in my council? Yes, I would. However, I would really like to see in councils a disability officer, somebody actually in charge of improving the lives of genuinely the most vulnerable people. So anyway, so that's my soapbox. This Let Women Speak is so that you can hear, without fear, that no woman has a penis, no man has a vagina, non-binary is absolute nonsense, and transitioning children is profound abuse. Okay, so now it's your turn. I would really appreciate it if you're one of the first to speak. This may change as we go on, but if you're one of the first to speak, can you keep it to 5 minutes or less, preferably less? And you come up, you can say what you like. This is what it's about. You tell us, everybody listens, and we really do change the way people feel by speaking about the way we feel. That's just the way we work as human beings. So, who would like to speak? Come on then, Claire. Let me just pin this on you.
Yes, please. I've even remembered not to start without it.
There you go.
Right. Well, you know why I'm wearing the hat? Who's that to remember? Why this year? Of the Jails Act embedding sex segregation into law across the whole of the then British Empire and the then Russian Empire and most of Western Europe. You know I don't wear this hat in vain. Some mad fool at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office recommended me for an MBE for the rainbow flag. And as many of you know, I am autistic. So I take my honour and the honour of the rainbow flag rather seriously. You can see around my waist, I live in Brighton and we are currently surrounded by foxtrot heterosexual invasion flags. Yes? Do you know what I'm saying? Only I've lived there for a long time and I have the honour for the rainbow flag. So it's weird how they come down. But they will both go back up again. And I will say to my neighbours, by all means, support transgender people. By all means, support black people. By all means, support genuinely DSD, intersex is a misnomer people. But check if the person using this flag has permission, has gained consent of any of those people. Don't deface my flag. Top tip, I couldn't possibly incite anybody because that would be wrong, but top tip of a female engineer, good sharp Stanley knife and a nice metal rule is exactly what you need, and it's about 1 Stanley knife per 25. Female engineers rock. I will be adding, just in case the police can hear, I will be adding the proper rainbow flag. I have already made one length of 5-metre bunting from electrical masking tape is the trick, because I know nobody is going to copy me because that would be wrong. Finally, the Quakers sometimes get a bad press because people don't understand our systems. However, number one, I had a very good conversation with the top of the tree over my being evicted at the annual general meeting from Friends House premises, and they have confirmed that not a single Quaker and not a single local meeting has the right to exclude a Quaker, let alone a member of 40 years. That's the postcard. When it goes through the post with a second-class stamp, it gets seen by a lot of people on the way. Remember, your MP has a constituency office as well as Westminster. Take 2 today and get them all going. That's what 200 look like. And I know that somebody is here from Ilkley, yay, has gone to the trouble of coming all this way today from Ilkley in a bus that takes forever, and that's ready to go back up to Yorkshire. We are nearly at the end of the 5,000, paid for by a donation from a Quaker who said to me, Claire, only the facts always work in the end. Go print some more. And finally, and definitely finally, oh yes, I have to update these because I've now got the 2023 figures and they say exactly the same. 99% of sentenced sexual offenders are male. Do you think that the sexual offending of the transgender population, both sexes, drops from the high level of male sexual offending to the almost non-existent level of female sexual offending? Exactly. That's a more nuanced argument, but when you make it, you win. What?
Okay, who else would like to speak? Yes.
P.S. There are some things worth going to prison for.
Hi, I'm Libby. You might know me on Twitter as Orwell was right about the left. I've got my new Keep Prison Single Sex t-shirt on today, the commemorative one, but I'm actually here to talk about passports. I'm here to talk about passports. So what a lot of people don't know is that before you get a GRC, or even if you never want a GRC, you can change the sex on your passport. You can do it with a letter from your doctor, or if you're a cross-dresser, you can just do it anyway. If you're under 18, you can do it. This is all on the Home Office website. Alessandra Asserti has tried for over a year now to find out from the Home Office if this is based in any law. It turns out it doesn't look like it is, it's just a policy. They've refused to say how many people have changed their passports. They say they don't know. So Wild Woman Writing has started a petition on the government website to stop this happening, because if men have female on their official documentation, we're never going to get our single sex spaces back. And if you think about what happens when you go for a new job, you have to prove you're eligible to work in the UK. Now, a lot of people will use their passport to do that. So a man can rock up to, say, a care agency, his passport says he's female, they're going to write him down as female, they're going to send him out on female appropriate jobs. So I would ask everybody to look for that petition. You can come and find me on Twitter, it's on my bio page. And the other thing I want to say really quickly, oh, I forgot, yeah, apparently they've been doing this forever, since at least 1961. They've been changing the sex marker. The sex marker used to be the title, Miss, Mrs or Mr, that's all it was. But even back then, in 1961, some troon called April something got his changed to Miss. And when they brought in the actual sex marker in the 80s, they just carried on with this policy that, you know, they've kept fairly quiet about, really. And the other thing I want to say very quickly is with regard to everybody creaming themselves over fucking Keir Starmer saying not very much, can we all remember that Keir Starmer did not say single sex spaces, he said safe spaces. He did not say, I think this is very significant, male violence against women. He just said violence against women and girls. He did say women or adult females, but men with a GRC, they've got female on their birth certificate. I strongly suspect he included them. But most importantly, they're going to sell the trans widows down the fucking river and stop the spousal veto or exit clause or whatever you want to call it, which is just disgraceful. And I'm so upset that so many kind of lefty women are celebrating this and ignoring the impact on trans widows. So women with religious beliefs will not be able to get an annulment. Women will have to divorce him when he's a woman and go through just the sheer, you know, added insult to injury of all the divorce paperwork is going to have him listed as a woman. When they married a goddamn man, he's still a man. So please, people, don't fall for the sweet words of a man who wants your vote. Actually analyse what he said and think about the consequences for women, because all he did was promise to make it easier for men to get female on their birth certificate. Thank you.
Let's imagine I'd invested my whole self into the left over the last 5 years, and now, in the words of Orwell was always right, I am, I can't even say that word actually. I'm very excited about Keir Starmer. Let's say I'm so excited that, like other people with a very short memory, I'm going to vote for him. And I'm going to think he's going to be the answers to all of our prayers, right? Keir Starmer in power with Angela Rayner. And I'm all excited about that. And then we watch what they do, and let's say that they're honest and they do believe genuinely in female-only spaces. And they say all this stuff in government, and oh my God, it's so great. And then actually I go to my local swimming pool and there's still a man with his penis out in a female-only space. And in schools, they're still teaching our children, and I've read the school's guidance, and let me tell you, it's gutless, the new school's guidance. It still talks about trans kids as if that's actually a thing. So let's say Keir Starmer's all wonderful, or Rishi Sunak even, and then actually you're still allowed to indoctrinate children into this cult. You're still using language of this pernicious ideology. You're still talking about trans people, trans kids, and the genuine idea that there's some genuine people born in the wrong body, right? So let's say that until, let me just say, until it is unlawful for a teacher to attempt to indoctrinate children in schools, I don't think any of this goes far enough. Until and I understand that what I'm going to say next means probably most of the universities in the countries will close. Until there aren't professors and lecturers at universities and places of further and higher education indoctrinating women and girls and boys, actually, all young people, indoctrinating them into this cult and not giving women any place to organise as women, including in a toilet, then I just don't think it goes far enough. So even if we have victory in the next election and whoever is voted in says that they really, really believe in women's rights and they really, really don't think that we should mutilate children, until they go far enough and make it totally unlawful to do those things, to go against the Equality Act, which as far as I'm concerned is not really worth the paper it's written on, whilst anything called gender identity flutters its linguistic nonsense within the Act, because nobody knows what gender is, nobody knows what gender identity is. I can't actually understand anyone going, well, you know, it's a difference between sex and gender. Well, what is gender? Like, what is it? Because I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. That's like saying there's a difference between sex and fairies. Like, you know, like, we could all of us probably could imagine what we think a fairy might be, but the fact that it doesn't exist means there's no actual definition for what a fairy is. So, that's mine. But I do think unless we're, look, the most you're ever going to get, people, is what you ask for. That's the most you're ever going to get. And I feel there's too many women's organisations who are happily talking for you, who say that the races were on about 50% of the way before the finish line. And I just don't think it's good enough. We have to ask for a complete eradication of the state. I don't care what everybody does in your free time. I don't care that, I hate drag. I think it's disgusting. I think it's really horrible, misogynist, vile, women-hating shit. But I absolutely uphold the right for people in a private club to go and watch it if they so desire, and for men to make a living from it if they so desire. I'd rather it didn't happen, but what happens in a private space, privately funded, is one thing. It's when the state is endorsing it and forcing you not to be able to say you don't like it very much and forcing it on your kids. That's what is wrong with this ideology. It's terrible anyway, but at no point in history, well, no, that's not even true, because it's happened too many times. But right now, the danger is that the state is not only telling you, force-feeding it to you, but they're criminalising you and ostracising you from mainstream society if you don't go along with it. That's the fundamental issue that I have with this ideology. I loathe it anyway, but there's loads of things I don't like. So anyway, would anyone else like to speak? Because I just might do a whole sermon myself. Come in. You next.
So happy to meet you.
Oh, hi, nice to meet you too.
I came from America.
Oh, have
to
you?
be here. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay. Came from America to be here. 'Cause I knew at the end of the month you were going to be here. So one thing that really irks the shit out of me is when men say, I feel like I'm a woman. I must be a woman. So I wrote this kind of a poem. It's called, you feel like a woman. So you feel like a woman, then right off the bat, you better take a 30% pay cut. So you feel like a woman. How many times on the job have you been sexually harassed and groped? So you feel like a woman. How many times have you been on a date and been overpowered and date raped? So you feel like a woman. How many times have you had to pay for birth control pills because insurance didn't pay for it? Because in the United States, insurance doesn't cover birth control pills, but they cover Viagra. I don't know if you guys know that. I have to be prompted. How many times, so you say you feel like a woman? How many times have you had to go to court to get child support money because your partner wouldn't pay it? So you really feel like a woman. How many times have you had the glass ceiling prevent you from rising in a company, and you were on a job and you knew you would never ever get to be the president, VP, whatever? All of these things are things that I've been through, okay? How many times, so you feel like a woman, how many times have you walked into an automobile sales place and had people talk down to you, try to rip you off? You know how auto mechanics are, just saying. How many times have you been worried because you're pregnant and you're going to be left? My whole life, I've been held at a different standard, you know? And you don't just wake up one day and feel like a woman. Taking estrogen doesn't make you a woman. Having plastic surgery doesn't make you a woman. In the old days, we would call that female impersonation. And that's what they're doing, is they're impersonating. We're not a costume to be worn. And most of the time, I mean, it's so stereotypical. I dress unisex. You should be able to wear whatever you want to wear. But I feel when I see a man saying he's a woman and he's dressed up that way, I feel you're mocking me, just like the minstrels did in the early 1900s with the black people. It is a fucking insult. So that's basically what I was gonna say. So I came across the pond. I came across the pond to just speak. Can I get a selfie with you later? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. So I stayed in a nice hotel last night. Thank you, husband. It was a very late birthday thing. And I was greeted this morning by a 6'4" man dressed as a woman in a bad wig, like a really, really bad wig. And I just, like you said, I just feel it's so insulting. It's so insulting. Any woman looking quite so ridiculous would not have a publicly facing role. I'm pretty sure that, I think we remember the bastion of all feminism, India Willoughby, on Women's Hour, before Women's Hour went really off. On Women's Hour, talking about how disgusting it was that women who were wait staff would have hairy legs. And how it was unsightly and filthy. And I just thought, so a woman has to shave her legs, because that's unsightly and filthy, but this gargantuan of a bloke can look like an absolute state. And everyone, look, there were lots of people that weren't British in that queue. They were like the travellers from abroad. And from places where I'm pretty sure that is not acceptable, and they don't have pride flags everywhere. And everyone was like, you know, and kids were like, and parents were like, shh. It was just ridiculous. Anyway, I just want to say what happened to me yesterday. So I parked somewhere near here yesterday, and then I walked across Marble Arch. And across Marble Arch, I have no idea what the remembrance or celebration. It looked very serious, but it was Muslim, and there wasn't a single strand of female hair to be seen in that whole place. And it made me feel, when I see that, when you watch the women in Iran and then you see that, it really does place weight upon my shoulders. I genuinely feel just so despairing. And then just after that, I walked straight past the Progress Pride flag. And I just thought, oh, okay, one type of misogyny over there, not recognising women as whole human beings. Oh, and there's our version. There's a modern incarnation of the same stuff. And I do think that's why all of us who care about this, like this might be your first run-in with wanting to stand up for rights. It might be the first time you've ever done anything like this. But once you start, I just don't think our work will ever be finished. I just think there's so much that needs addressing, and we need to address it from this point of view, because there's other opposition to this progress, transgender, authoritarian, quasi-religious cult. There are other objections, but none of them are fair to women, apart from our objections. So that's why we have to be really loud, because before you know it, no matter what you think of them, the Christian right in America, no matter what you think of them, this will become theirs. They will be the only voices that anybody will hear, unless we are very loud and insistent that they are welcome in this. Everybody is welcome in this fight back for reality. I don't care where they're from. I don't care if they're far left. I don't care if they're Christian right. I don't care if they're, oh, I nearly got myself into so much trouble. I was like, oh, it's far, no. But anybody that recognises this are welcome, because when they hear moderate voices, they are more likely to become moderate about other things that we'd like them to hear about. Okay. Anybody else? There was a lady there, yes. You shut your face.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi everybody. My name's Elaine, and I'm from Canada. Yeah. Where our Prime Minister is just so in favor of anything and everything trans, and our Prime Minister is for anything trans, and when he first came on board as our Prime Minister, he looked like a hero to a lot of people. He looked like a good guy, and a lot of people bought in, and now he's in. And when so many of us weren't looking during COVID, he just legislated so much. And I'm a teacher, and I've been fortunate. I've had a contract where I am a permanent teacher on call, which means I move from school to school, I have job security, and I'm not obliged to teach the curriculum. However, as of September, that changes. I will be in a classroom and I will be expected to teach stuff. But what was good the last year is I worked at certain schools. One school, the office had given me notices to send home with a kindergarten class, and it was the parent-teacher group had put together trans or drag storytelling, and it was only for the primary children. And so the next school I was at, I sat in the staff room and I wanted to gauge the temperature. And so I asked teachers, and I played dumb, because I thought that's the only way I'm going to get a real answer. And I said, have you heard about this? What is this? And every teacher except for one went, that is the coolest thing. Oh my God, we should have it. And so I started family members and friends, and I did the same thing. And what seems to be the case in Canada in my circles is people think they're being nice. They think it's the same as being welcoming to gay and lesbian people, or people of some ethnic minority who have been prejudiced against, and it's like welcoming them in. And it's such a problem. I started looking at the library books in the schools where I was working. These library books are accessible to all grades. All grades. Kids go in for a library block, the librarian might read a story, and then it's free for all. Of course they can't take certain books out, but they can look at them. There are all these gender queer books, like there's this one book that actually has photos of a boy giving a blowjob to another boy. Like, these are books in our schools, and we can't speak out against it. I was in Liverpool about 10 days ago, and I went to go into the ladies' bathroom, and a man walked out. I was surprised how I reacted. I froze. Like, I couldn't move. I froze. And this guy was so decent. He went, no, you're in the right place. I'm in the wrong place. I made a mistake. I am so sorry. And I believe him. You know, like, he was so embarrassed, and he was like, no, it's not you, it's me. But it's really screwed up. I was in Trafalgar Square yesterday, and you know the little walk sign? There's 3 parts. There's the symbol of the woman, the man, and then I guess the combination. And it's a problem. So I know that speaking here, you know, I think my voice is recognizable. I'm a teacher. I've said I'm from Canada. I'm wearing the glasses to conceal myself. Yeah. If somebody were to see me, they could go to my union and report me, and I could potentially lose my job. I could fight it on a Human Rights Act, but it is so problematic, and Justin Trudeau is allowing it, and it's such a problem, and it's so scary. There are all these rules where I live. I say people are sort of not awake to this in Canada, but I think the penny dropped for me about 8 months ago. I started seeing stuff and hearing stuff, and so I started Googling it and looking on writing trans, and I discovered your videos, Kellie-Jay, and so I started watching, and then whenever I put trans, suddenly everything would show up. It's kind of like if you look at Adidas, suddenly you get all the commercials. Now you get everything Kellie-Jay and all these different people speaking. And anyways, I came home one Sunday afternoon. I'd been grocery shopping, and the penny had only dropped like 3 months before. And a park 2 blocks from my home, there was something going on in the park. Now, I live in a safe area of Vancouver, very safe, very family oriented. And there was a lot of black. It was rainy. Whatever it was big, and it wasn't normal for that area. And it didn't even dawn on me what it could be. I go home, I watch the news, I see this guy, Billboard Chris, who I'd never heard of. And these people were pushing him, they were angry, they were freaking out. And then somebody says, Vancouver. And I go, oh my God, that's what I just drove by. And I never felt unsafe in my community. I never really had to. And I don't know where they are, because I don't see them. These men who claim to be women, and they're not even trying to look like women, so many of them. And I want to speak about it in my home, in my city, and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I mean, a lot of people don't want to know. So, find friends. I have 2 so far. Yeah, people are afraid. So, in public, yeah. I've ordered some. I actually have a radio show on Saturdays through a community radio. I don't know if they'll let me talk about it. I'm writing some reviews while I'm here for the radio station, and I contacted one of my managers and said, who do I send it to? They gave me the name of the person and said, you can write to their email, and I know that person is a trans. It's, anyways, this is kind of my first time ever speaking, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So you go to another women's meeting, they don't have people from America and Canada. By the way, I am planning on coming to Canada. I've just applied for my visa, so. And I'm going back to New Zealand because I've got a visa for that too. Do you know the beauty? I'll just tell you the beauty of, like, for a start, my ego's relatively healthy. But there was nothing so wonderful as wall-to-wall Kellie-Jay news in New Zealand for about 4 weeks before I went, and still now. And now, what? Just by doing Let Women Speak, just by, like, other people do other things. I don't go into the lion's den and then moan that I've been eaten. I basically put this here, and then the lions normally come. Although today, I think it was the rain, but. Let Women Speak is totally unique in that what we do is lawful speech in public, and then we watch men and handmaids get very, very angry about women speaking in public. And obviously that happened beautifully in New Zealand, that we wanted to speak and then they came out in full force. So now, just by that one event, we are forcing, because I have to go back, because the guy who assaulted me, who sends naked pictures to me, by the way. It really is quite grotesque. So what happens, so I'm not going back because he's going to court. And the beautiful timing of it is that it's 3 weeks before the New Zealand election. So little old me. So we're going to do a Let Women Speak talk outside the court and then just down the road. And because of that, politicians in power are going to have to either protect women's right to speak, right, or not. And they're going to have to run the risk. Is the rest of New Zealand really okay about what happened that day in Albert Park? Are they okay with that?
We're not okay, we're Kiwis.
There you go. Chat behind said, we're not okay, we're Kiwis. Or is really this beautiful authoritarian rainbow family, they call it the rainbow family in New Zealand, or actually are people more like, you know, let's let men get undressed in women's changing rooms, that's fine. Let's crush some girls on the rugby pitch, that's fine. And so they're really going to have to work out what the opposition party is going to do and what they're going to do. And so fundamentally, for all the people that say, what does she do? I literally change countries' outlooks on whether or not women should be able to speak. Anyway, who else would like to speak? Yes. There was another lady as well, I think. But... Hi, nice and loud if you can.
I'll do my best.
All right, thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I don't know if Kelly has already asked how many new people are here, but how many new people are here? Yeah, lots of new people. That's brilliant, brilliant. Well, to the new people that are here, my name is Radical Cartoons, and I was the cartoonist, the political cartoonist. We're being monitored. We're definitely being monitored. Okay.
Radical cartoon!
Yeah. So I was cancelled by the Morning Star 2020 for a cartoon which they published and then were forced to apologise for. So they didn't stick up for me as their cartoonist. And on the anniversary of that cancellation every year in February, I write to them and I say any chance of an apology, any chance of printing my right to reply. No response. Now then, all of a sudden, the Labour Party have all of a sudden said they know who a woman is. And we know that this is just nonsense for their own tribe, as it were. I've been asked by other people to come and say something about this. The Labour Party conference, they can't just make pronouncements from the top and it's suddenly policy. They have to get that through their conference. We know the entire Labour Party is captured by this, all the trade union delegations, all the constituency delegations. It is going to be bloody. We are going to see trans activists protesting the Labour Party outside their conference in October. That is going to be fun. That is going to be fun. That is going to be fun, everybody. So because I was cancelled and my outlet vanished, I had to publish my own book, which is called 2020, the year we were all cancelled. So it's obviously about the pandemic as well. And I always give this away, a free copy to somebody who's the lucky person. I never know who it's going to be, but this time, I hope you don't mind if I give it to a guy who is elder, who's come from Iceland, and he's walking around with the rainbow flag. Hey! Kelly, I hope you don't mind if I just come into the camera shot, mate. Come into the camera shot. Thought criminals. So this guy is quite well known, and he has come to support LGBT Alliance conference in Iceland. And he's come to ask women, and especially lesbians, I suppose, but any women supporting, to send quick video messages. So if you want to do that, see him, or see Alf, who's doing the filming. Am I right?
Brilliant, yes,
Alf,
thank
yes.
you.
Yeah. So
And
does
if
he?
you could do one in your studio, like a 5 to 15 seconds, just to motivate women in Iceland to start standing up and speak.
And can I say about the flag, there have been people coming and they say, what's this rainbow flag doing? If you notice, it's got the troon bit cut out. So that is the idea of it, yeah? and I'm sure you'll let him speak at the end with the rest of the...
You might be sure.
The rest of
I don't need
maybe.
to speak, I'm listening.
Thank you, thank you. So he's been on YouTube. People like Graham Linehan have interviewed him, so you probably know him by sight, you know. Just wanted to say hello to him and say thank you for bringing that flag, because it's very funny. So that's my story, and some of you know it, some of you don't. So I'm on YouTube as Radical Cartoons, I'm on Spinster, I'm on Getter, I'm not on Twitter or any of those rubbish platforms. So thanks for hearing me again, and I'm gonna give him the copy of my book this time.
Thank you, love.
Hiya. My name's DJ Libby. I want to say thank you for everyone for coming down today. It's growing every month. There's more and more people turning up. And I know people have come from all around the country today to hear women speak, to let women speak. So big round of applause for you all. I've been inspired by the woman who just did a poem. I just wrote this poem, so if it's not very good. But I wanted to take a moment to speak about Sadiq Khan. Yeah, I know. I know. Oh, my hero. May. So, for those of you that don't know on the live stream or what have you, might not know London politics, Sadiq Khan has decided that what men need to do to stop male violence is whenever the mate's saying something a bit dodgy, they just say, mate. And then they'll go like, oh shit, sorry, yeah, no, I forgot about that. And then we'll go like, yeah, right. And you know what? I feel like he's got the best intentions at heart, and I do get what he's saying, because it is like the small scale things that get said in society that don't get challenged. Then it creates this atmosphere where it's acceptable to say misogynistic things about women. It's acceptable to make like snide little comments and all that, and that's what they're getting at. But I wanted to make a gender critical version of this. Because I heard a woman who I have great respect for, she's gender critical, but she was defending Dylan Mulvaney's pronouns on Twitter. And you know what I thought? I thought, babe. And this is the thing about this new form of misogyny, it's so pernicious, and that women are often some of the greatest spokespeople for this new ideology. You know, it's not simple, it's not black and white. So we need to start saying it. Whenever you try handmaiden mate starts to say something, we should all just step in and go, hang on a minute, babe. Right, so I just wrote this poem sitting over there, so it's rubbish, like, it's fine. So I'm going to start it, so whenever I say babe, you've all got to say it together, so ready? Babe! Stop letting men into women-only spaces. Stop calling me names, because I know that lesbians don't get laid by party wig lesbians, men formerly known as Dave. Babe! Don't justify men putting their chests into the faces of babies and filling their bellies with chemical rabies. Don't act dumb, we know you see that they have nipple fetishes because they are he. Babe! Stop calling us Nazis and using your voice to kick us out of left-wing parties. West Streeting has turned and Starmer too. Before you know it, Liberals will too. Stop picketing the rights laid down in law. The Human Rights Act exists, you know. So, I just want to encourage the use of this hashtag. Be-abe, it's got 3 A's. Because it makes the B, ooh, it's got authority then. Babe. So let's use it against them. If you see a woman being a handmaiden, just tell her, babe. Oh God, that's your microphone.
She took the microphone. Babe. I thought Sadiq Khan's thing was ma'am. Feels like it should be. Someone had their hand up. Yes. Oh, you all right?
Yeah, I'm a bit stiff being sat down.
Oh gosh. Ready?
Right, okay. Okay. Hi. So I've been stalking you around the country for quite a few of these meetings now, but I've never spoke before.
Just before you do, let me just say, if you're having conversations, can you just step right away from the group, because some people, this lady is going to talk for the first time after being to many meetings, and I just would like to afford her the courtesy of listening. And if you can't do that, which is fine, just step right away. Thank you.
So I'd just like to say that my background is as a child, as a family, we experienced a lot of sexual and physical violence from our father. Cut a long story short, I got myself out of that situation. I ended up in a good job. I gave birth to my lovely daughter. I empowered her to grow up to be a successful young woman. I grew up to be a great granny to 5 grandchildren, and I thought my life was great. I did. I thought I've done it on my own, literally on my own. And then all of a sudden, I was just sat there on Twitter, and I just kind of saw something, and I thought, and I was like, what? And it was the biggest, I was horrified. And then JK obviously made her statement. There was all kinds of stuff that was being uncovered. And I just felt like, I mean, they call it a rabbit hole. It's like the underbelly of society to me. It really, really is. And honest to God, there's not a day goes by where I am not shocked I'm not shocked to death because of what women are being subjected to in this present day in 2023. This is an attack on women. Nobody is saying anything. And yesterday's news from Mr. Darling Starmer, he's got 2 things going on here. He knew about it and ignored it, so we didn't matter. Or he didn't know about it, but now he does because the election's next year. I don't believe a word he's saying. And how can you, I mean, it's flip-flopped by having all this, you know, we think this, along with Stella Creasy, you know, women have penises. How do you just turn that off and all of a sudden they don't? They think we're stupid. We've gone from, you know, people with cervixes, we've got men with prostates, but we've got people with cervixes, people that menstruate. That is seen. That is in medical journals. That is in the NHS. You can't tell me people don't see that. You know, and it's infuriating. And a couple of days ago, I think I was nearly sick at RuPaul. Did anybody see that? I mean, I don't get offended at nothing, but I'm thought that you are absolute. It's almost like they're pushing it that little bit further. And I don't think I've ever felt so degraded as a woman in my whole life, just when I thought everything was going great. It isn't. We're being sold down the river, thrown under a bus, and I don't know why. I don't know why. We've got Andrew Neil yesterday spoke up, which is great. I don't believe that he didn't know. I really don't. You know, he works for was chair of the Spectator. He knows. Maybe he's had the courage to.
Rights for the Spectator.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but I just find it. I'm tired now. I am tired. I'm really shocked. I'm upset about how we all as women contribute so much to this society, and we're being treated like dirt, lower than dirt. And I just think enough is enough, and I don't know what the answer is, but doing this, you've done a great job, Kelly, and there's other people obviously doing a great job, and I'm just, yeah. So anyway, thank everybody, and I'm really grateful that you let me speak today. Okay, thank you. Oh gosh, everyone steals it, don't they?
Yeah, they all know. I think they don't care, actually. I think some of these people in prison, it's only women. Oh, I wish they'd just stop moaning. So what if their daughters have got a fetishy pervert man? Who knew that would happen? That some dirty old man would put a skirt on and volunteer to work at a fucking swimming pool and just casually ooh. I mean, if we didn't know, I just want to show our hands. Who knew that would happen? I mean, it's a marvel that he's the first. I doubt he's the first. I suspect up and down the country there's women and girls that have felt uncomfortable who know they can't say a damn word. Because that's how this works, right? You can't possibly, nobody in that queue today could say to that man, God, that's offensive. You know, your whole dress up today, it was a black man. And I just said to my husband, how would he feel if I walked along here this morning in blackface, or worse, in a woman, adult, human, female t-shirt? Like, how would he, I would be the terrible human. Clearly I would if I was in blackface, because we all know it's disgusting. But if I was there in a woman, adult, human, female t-shirt, and I made that 6'4" bloke feel uncomfortable, I'd be the aggressor. In the eyes of everyone, I probably would have got kicked out of the hotel. And they valeted my car. So, yes, come and speak. Can I hear?
Yeah,
Is that
wherever.
right? Okay.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Why, thank you. This is my second time speaking, and I've pretty much said what I had to say, except for one thing that I remembered now. So I don't know exactly how many supporters of the LGB Alliance are here, or just, oh, awesome. I'm sure there are plenty of supporters of the LGB in general. And I just want to put this out there and draw your attention to the fact, some of you might already know, but this ideology is doing incredible harm to LGB people in countries where they don't have equal rights yet, but they were kind of just about getting there. I'm from an Eastern European country, and I have to say things were moving in the right direction, slowly, appallingly slowly, but they were. And then when this kicked off, it became a whole, because most people are not on Twitter, on X, so they don't know, they don't understand the distinction. So for most people it became, well, no, if gay rights means men in women's toilets and it means my daughter being told that she can be a boy if she doesn't like pink, then I don't want that. So I'm just saying, if anyone has time, patience, energy to kind of push this cause a little bit, I'm telling you, some really great harm is being done in those parts of the world. LGBT people are losing territory, the very little territory that they'd gained.
And it's just another thing to be aware of. Yeah, sorry, like we didn't have enough problems. Just another thing to think of. And yeah, also thank you so much everyone for coming today, and thank you, Kellie-Jay. You are just amazing. You're awesome. So. Thank you.
I must say, I don't think I'd thought about that before. The fact that now the T comes with LGB, that the LGB people can't get any foothold on making the case that they made successfully here before Stonewall turned all trans inclusive. But the case was really, I genuinely don't know anybody that isn't on the other side of this debate that's a homophobe. I just don't know anyone, or maybe they're very secret about their homophobia, but I don't know anyone who has a problem with gay or lesbian or bisexual people, aside from people in the trans cult who choose to eradicate their identity by pretending they don't know what biological sex is. So, yes. I'm just saying that looks like a really long speech. Hi. There you go.
I wanted to do a short poem before my speech. It's only 4 lines. So, I am a woman, you can't erase me. I am a woman, female truly. I am a woman, the divine feminine entity. I am a woman and no man can ever be me. So my name's Charlotte, I've come from Leeds. We've got here a little bit late, but we're here. So I just wanted to start with, how did it get to this point, ladies? After fighting long and hard for equality, we've pretty much got it in the Western world, in my opinion. However, there is now a new insidious way that men are trying to take control of us, and I think the suffragettes would truly be turning in their graves. It's coming in a wave and wave of insidious infiltration into our sports, our women's spaces, our schools and our healthcare, and you name it. Even the word woman is now being diluted and eroded down. First it was trans woman, and now it is woman. Even in Thailand, a country which is cited as a very transgender, pro-friendly country, they do not distinguish trans women as women. They are called kat toi. Kat toi is meaning trans lady. And where I may add that the only reason that certain Buddhist fractions accept the transgender community there is that they believe that they committed sins in their previous lives and they have no control of that in their current life. That is the only reason why it's tolerated. Wanting to paint your nails, wear lipstick and do girly things does not make you a woman. These elements do not define what a woman is. Whatever happened to tomboys? I think it is utterly condescending and it is the epitome of misogyny. Transgenderism is a cultural annex stemming from Western society. Do you really think, do we ever for 1 minute think that these men would want to be women in an indigenous tribe setting where the women do not wear makeup, they do not get their hair did, they do not get their nails painted, but they graft hard in the fields, the savannah and the forest doing back-breaking labour? I think not. I have a background in science, and so I like facts. I'm going to reel off several to you all today. Transgenderism is reported to account for 0.5% of the British population, according to the census. However, there are now serious concerns that this is a grossly overestimated anomaly because it is due to the misinterpretation of the question in the census by people who do not have English as their first language. Regardless of this, women represent 51% of the population in the UK. Why are we pandering to an absolute minority? The leftist movement is fueling a social contagion which stretches far and wide, particularly across the West. The American Medical Association just announced that the sex of a child cannot be listed on a birth certificate. It should no longer be assigned at birth. The last time I checked, there were 2 sexes, and that was a medical fact. Whenever I go out on nights out, I always collar the younger generations and I ask them unequivocally the definition of a woman. By far the most common response I'm getting is, wow, that's a hard question. I don't know the answer to that. It's extremely, the best answer I've got is you. I've never come close to the dictionary definition. It's honestly mind-boggling. The more this movement is questioned, the more it clearly demonstrates a lack of common sense on the fundamentals of this movement. If gender is indeed a social construct and something learned inherently in society, how can you be born in the wrong gender? If you cannot affirm sex from the private parts of a baby, then why does cutting them off later in life affirm your sex? It is insane. And this is why it's so amazing that this Scottish bill was rejected by Westminster. A person could have lived as their chosen gender for only 3 months for applying for a gender recognition certificate without any medical diagnosis, and even children as young as 16 could have done this. This self-certificate would have meant that a male could have, by law, been a female and worked and had access to female-only spaces, completed intimate care roles as a woman. However, strangely, if they committed a sexual offence and they went to prison, they'd then be considered a man. How could Nicola Sturgeon not have seen how easily this would have opened the door to predators? I thank God this utterly idiotic bill did not pass, and it was the demise of Nicola Sturgeon. Well, in addition to her dodgy dealings, which she quite nicely got out of Parliament before they all come out of the woodwork. As the gender bill would have made it more acceptable for us to continue this insidious social experiment using children as guinea pigs for experimental drugs. The application of puberty blockers to stop puberty is on a completely experimental basis. They were never licensed for this use. They were supposed to only be given for short-term use for emergency situations due to the numerous side effects that they're associated with. So they're given for temporarily delaying early puberty, several cancer treatments, and this is the most important one, to chemically castrate sexual deviants. However, can I add that they're only recommended for the worst sexual deviants because of the significant side effects that can occur. Sexual freaks, you literally could not name it. Sexual freaks have been given more care and more consideration than our children. The Tavistock gave these drugs to kids in this country as young as 10, and with cross-sex hormones usually administered by the age of 16. Some of these kids are therefore actually on these drugs for almost half of their lifespan. And despite in some places in Europe using puberty blockers since the 90s, there are no long-term studies, still no long-term studies on the effects of these. Puberty doesn't just turn you from a boy to a man or a girl to a woman, it also stimulates important, fundamental brain and cognitive development. A study that was done in Glasgow recently trialled these drugs on sheep. They had permanent effects on cognitive function, and after the cessation of the drug, these effects did not go. These drugs have been given since the 90s, and there is yet no proper control study, randomised control study, or any animal studies that were done. It is absolutely ludicrous. So now I'm going to give you some key facts on the Tavistock. Around 2/3 of these children visiting the kids, so 60% of the boys and 70% of the girls, were gay. And 3 times as many girls were seen as boys. Compare this to the general population, where we know from census data that around 10% of the population are gay. This is a significant finding. This gender clinic was unequivocally pushing for the castration and elimination of gay children, and there is no other way that I can convey it. A significant portion were also diagnosed with autism. It is unequivocally proven that the wrongdoings of this clinic were disproportionately affecting females, particularly lesbians. And one criteria used to diagnose gender dysphoria is that they observe children playing with effeminate, so they will observe children playing with toys of the opposite sex, so boys will play with Barbies, girls will play with action men. However, the study done in Bristol found that this trait is also associated with children who grow up to be homosexual. It is not solely a trait of transgenderism. And this is important because one life is a free living. You can live openly as a homosexual person, especially in the UK. But as a transgender, you will go down this rabbit hole of procedures, all these hormones, and potentially long-term complications. We are now seeing this movement, which was typically explored by men wanting to be women, now being taken up by girls wanting to be boys. And recently, within a 10-year period, we saw a 4,400% rise in the number of girls wanting to transition. What's even more sad is that trans men are way more likely to detransition than trans women. However, often this is sadly after they have mutilated their bodies. There is no more radical body image problem than believing you are in the wrong body and subjecting yourself to drugs and surgery to change it. This is unequivocally proven, as 1,000 families are now suing the Tavistock for their wrongdoings. Finally, I got somewhere. It's just a shame that people like Nicola Sturgeon and these institutions propagating these lies to young people have not learnt from this travesty. We need to address this surge in this social contagion, and that is gender dysphoria. And it ain't going to be by mutilating our kids. Tomboys, I was a tomboy. What happened to the tomboys? I grew up happy and strong knowing that I was a girl, but I was a tomboy. We need to get this mentality back. I started this journey knowing what was happening was wrong, but the more I go down the rabbit hole, the more wronger it gets. However, each day, the general population is learning more and more about this, and they are now royally kicking off. So it's sad, but also a blessing in disguise that we have had to go completely west and completely wrong before things get addressed. So I want to say to all of you, spread the word, shout out from the rafters about what is going on, and spread this word, because I know that I will be doing it regardless of whether I cause a ruckus. I ain't a direct descendant of Robert the Bruce for nothing. And then, and finally, in the words of a main man Churchill, yeah, the greatest Briton that ever lived, my boy Churchill, never give in, never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in! Yeah!
Do you want a quick photo? He wants a photo. Oh, yeah. I just saw Adja. Have you come for your money? Oh, talking of money, someone just handed me some notes that were found on the floor. I'm not going to say how much, but if you've lost some notes... Stupid is not a protected characteristic. If you've lost some money, do let me know. Talking of the Tavistock, let me just say, Tavistock is fair warning of not to celebrate too soon. Because whilst the Tavistock may have closed, the slimy tentacles of transing kids is just going to go out to the regions. That's all that's going to happen. And also, I think it's a Chelsea and Westminster. Someone rang into TERF Talk about the Chelsea and Westminster, and they intend, within 3 to 5 years, of slicing off the arm flesh of a woman, fashioning it somewhere beneath the belly button to pretend to be a penis. I don't have a penis, but I'm pretty sure that they feel very different to the flesh on my arm. I'm pretty sure they don't work the same as the flesh on my arm. I've seen a penis. Just one. I've seen a penis, and they definitely don't look like my arm. But that's the NHS. And one of the staff that they've admitted that they will need in this ward, where they'll do these surgeries, that in America they fail with such a spectacular rate that one girl had 31 corrective surgeries after having a so-called phalloplasty, and one of the complications, there's little kids over there, one of the complications was urinating out of her anus. It's just mind-blowing, let alone the life-limiting impact of taking testosterone on a female body, which includes heart failure at a greater rate. And I think I've seen in a conversation on Twitter where some TRA was like, but that's part of being a man. Having a dicky heart apparently makes you validated. I don't know, it just feels insane. But anyway, that's what's going to happen. Chelsea and Westminster building somewhere. I feel like I'm exaggerating, but I'm pretty sure they wanted to be able to do about 250 a year on the NHS of these butchering, exceptionally dangerous operations. And And some of our lovely stewards, Adja being one of them, she'll occasionally tweet what that might look like, what a phalloplasty actually might look like. Because what we know is if you're prepared to do that surgery on a woman, you really don't care about women very much at all. So you don't care that you might put it somewhere just above the bikini line. You might put it somewhere completely lopsided. You might leave someone with necrosis of the flesh where their skin graft completely fails and they'll have another skin graft. It's really just, it's some of the most horrific stuff I've ever seen. Because who knew? I mean, I couldn't construct a finger out of a toe, right? I couldn't construct a nose or an ear out of another bit of my body. Why anybody thinks you can construct a vagina out of testicles or a penis is just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Anyway, on that beautiful news. Yes?
Okay, can you hear me? No? Oh, hold on a sec. I've got a poem that I did and the stewards are making me read it out. It's for my daughter and all of our daughters. I'll try and be loud. You're my size, you're still a woman. Always have been, always will be, you can't have forgotten. Are you really truly hoping words and surgery are big enough moves to change your reality? Okay. I can't sit by and watch this, it's a travesty. I get you don't like your body and everything it signifies, but why base your entire personality on far-fetched goals and lies? You're still a woman my size. I know you hate to hear it and it makes you disassociate, but when you're grown you'll get it and you'll regret all of this self-hate. You're looking for a shitty lens the glitter family gave you. It's murky, it's scratched up and reused so much by their design it won't let you see the real you. You're still a woman my size. You're bigger, stronger, more real than them, and they know this, which is why they want to keep you at your lowest. Found family, they'll also call it, as they tear you from those who really love you. The ones who love you just as you are, unlike them, I'm sorry, but they're who? You're still a woman my size. You grew because of our sex class, and you're you even while you're blinded by this farce. You're still a woman my size. That's it.
Well done, well done. While we're at it, can we just say, the stewards who come here every month, and some of them come all over the world. They didn't come on purpose to New Zealand, but we had some of our stewards actually in Australia, and many came to Geneva, and where else did I go? Austria, Vienna. And so I'd like to just say thank you to stewards. And can I also say, now that I'm totally demonetised on YouTube, if you like these events, they cost me a lot more than they should because I have to have protection. And if you'd like to contribute to that, we love your cash, we love your donations at Standing for Women, but what we really like is looking around and seeing you being the billboard. So if you like what we do, I'd really ask you to go to adulthumanfemale.store, make a purchase. You'll be surprised how many conversations you start just by wearing something, even if it's just someone recognises that it's the most beautifully made merchandise. Made in Wiltshire, actually, printed by our own fair hands, but they do start conversations. Sometimes they'll rescue someone from complete isolation because they see someone wearing something which sounds really grand, but it's genuinely true, that we get stories all the time. I like to call it reaction wear, because they genuinely, they start conversations, somebody might see it, or somebody might see a sticker somewhere, and they're like, oh my God, that's someone else in my town, where I go to school or college or university, that actually knows what a woman is. So that's how we really like you to support the stuff that we do here, and without that, we can't do it. So I would just ask you to go to adulthumanfemale.store and make a purchase. And I saw somebody with a, do you want to speak?
Yeah, okay, good.
Well, I just saw you looking at your phone.
Oh.
I thought you might have a speech.
Yes,
Come on.
I'll say something. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Oh, do you mind recording this if possible? I'm so sorry. Get a coffee, sorry. Hi everyone. So I've been to a couple of these now. I've tried to bring people here, but at the moment it's been quite difficult because I think for a lot of people they find events like this quite contentious. And I think for me, like, I've lost a lot of friends. I say friends, speaking up about these issues, especially when I've done interviews on Talk TV, because I think they don't fully understand what the issues behind it. But I think for women, we're living in very dangerous times where you've got leaders who can't even define what a woman is. You've got men breastfeeding babies. You've got men competing in women pageants and winning. And I just think that women are constantly subjected to having their rights stripped away at every area of our society. And I just think it's getting a lot more dangerous for women to fully participate. And it's just going to get in this downward trend where it gets worse and worse. And many women, you're not able to speak up about it. I think for the trans activists, for example, if they're speaking up for their rights, they are always speaking up about their rights that trumps women's rights. They get celebrated on social media. And yet when women say, hang on, what about my rights? What about my right to go to the bathroom safely without having to share that space with a man? You'll be subjected to so much abuse and called the most nastiest name. Like I have personally been to a toilet where a group of men were actually in the toilet because they could just say, I identify as a woman, and big 6-foot muscular men in the toilet, and you feel very unsafe in those scenarios, but you can't actually say anything about it because if you do, like, you are the abuser in that situation, even though all you're doing is looking out for your safety. I mean, women are physically not as strong as biological men, and I think there's nothing wrong with actually speaking up and saying no, stand up against the grey, stand up against this madness. But for many women who do share these opinions, if they speak about it publicly, you're at risk of losing your job, actually being excluded out of society for just standing up for your rights. So I think, it's every month, I've been to a few of these now, every month the group is getting bigger. We don't have the trans activist mob here anymore trying to drown out our voices as we share our experiences, stand up for our rights. And I think it's because they realise that what they're actually advocating for, what they're speaking up for, is inherently wrong and has no fact or logic or evidence behind anything that they're saying. And ultimately, we're winning. We're all here, we're all standing up for our rights, and we are the ones who are achieving from this. So I think everyone's just got to keep coming here, keep speaking up, even if you don't have, you're not able to publicly speak up about this. Having conversations with the people around you, changing more minds, is the only way that we're going to keep pushing this forward, stand up against gender ideology, and keep pushing back from these trans activists who are stripping us away of our rights. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. That's me. Oh.
I don't know how someone can speak that well unscripted, I must say. So I'm really glad to speak today because I have been involved with Standing for Women for a year, and I have met so many women, from conservatives with whom I agree on little else but this, to my fellow lefties trying to fathom how the left has utterly lost its collective mind. Every event leaves me moved as women heed Kellie-Jay's call to speak their minds, forming an anthology. From Arja's poetry, the many women brave enough to detail how they have suffered under this dogma, the speech that brought us all to tears in Belfast, and the success stories of women enacting change. You all inspire me. What started as a few intrepid women in 2020 has grown into something incredible. Liberal feminists love to fling the word empowerment around, like it is confetti that will end the patriarchy if enough is thrown. Usually in the male-centric context such as porn or prostitution. This though, women finding their voices and getting into politics, that is empowerment. I have also seen the darker side of my generation. Young men are likelier to identify as feminists, but see violence against women as less wrong than older men, according to a Welsh Government poll. I thought J.K. Rowling was exaggerating when she said this is the most misogynistic period she's experienced. Since then, I have been faced with a masked man sporting an erection while telling me to kill myself. Seen my black sister told to go home and have glitter thrown into her dreadlocks. I've seen a feral mob crawling over each other to beat women, breaking an elderly lady's skull. Germaine Greer's words are more pertinent than ever 50 years on. Women have very little idea how much men hate them. The left flatly refuses to condemn this, but these are politicians who cross the floor of Parliament to leer at a Tory woman and jeer at their own female MP, a domestic abuse victim, if they dare speak up for women. Wes Streeting may have apologised to her, but until Labour, until Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, Lisa Nandy, all of the other MPs, Lloyd Russell Moyle, who partook in the abuse of her, until they all apologise and some of them are thrown out of the party, this is not good enough. A misogynistic culture has taken over Labour, and you think some tiny platitudes will win back our vote? You're deluded. These politicians stand united with a convicted torturer and kidnapper in the name of trans rights, which is more obviously exposing itself as a front to remove women's rights. As for the Conservatives, our rights have been eroded under their watch. Need I say more? The latest farce was the aforementioned torturer, kidnapper, and all-round good egg speaking at Trans Pride London. And sorry kids, if you see a TERF, punch them in the fucking face. Cheered by the mostly male crowd. According to the Mayor of London, they should have said, mate. The police ignored this incitement at the time, and when it was raised by the Women's Rights Network, because TERFs are not a protected characteristic, although sex and gender critical beliefs are, and incitement to violence is illegal anyway. These words were acted upon last week as well. A woman was punched in the face at Women Won't Wish, Aberdeen. An active member of the Scottish Green Party organised this counter-protest. So I eagerly await condemnation of this male violence against women by the Scottish Greens. I will be waiting a while. Women have made progress. Men convicted of violent or sex crimes can no longer be incarcerated. Men convicted of violent or sex crimes can no longer be incarcerated with women. And the Equality Act may be clarified such that protected characteristic of sex actually means sex. This week, Keir Windsock Starmer uttered the forbidden words adult female in reference to women, with no extra bits added down below. However, public bodies still use Stonewall's perversion of the law, and sporting bodies still prioritise male feelings over women's safety and fairness. But women are moving, and we will reclaim feminism from this porn-addled men's rights movement that sells us kindness in intersectionality while commodifying our bodies for sex and surrogacy and abolishing women as a sex class. Women will not let men redefine our reality. We will not be quiet. Those days are long gone. In time, we will see men pontificating over the question, what is a woman? In the same way that we see men who argued against women's suffrage as troglodytes, relying solely on sexist stereotypes. Nearly done. This isn't just about women, it's about reality and democracy. If a politician cannot even define a woman without lying, how can we trust their words on the economy or defence? As members of the European Court of Human Rights, the UK must meet certain standards. If politicians do not condemn repeated attempts to deny women their Article 9, 10 and 11 rights, how can we trust them to uphold our obligations as members or to protect political rights as signatories to the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Okay, and my last paragraph devolved into a poem, so here it is, and I've got a very appropriate shirt on. This is a fight to say 2 + 2 is 4, to reject their doublespeak and just say man. A contemporary heresy, today's ultimate sin. Nobody expected the Tranish Inquisition. They did surprise well, but fear, it's wearing thin. Thinner than their chiffon veil of love and kindness, a mere front for a modern day witch hunt. Gone is the stake and the flames, but the trials remain. The ducking stool replaced by the pillory of social media. Sentenced to firing, cancellation, ostracisation. Your name branded transphobe, marked for all duration. The only shield women can wield is silence and compliance. The 21st century has found its scold's bridle. Times will always change, but misogyny never lies idle. Our forebears defeated its old forms. The witch hunt ceased. We won the vote. Bans abolished. Men's property and more, equality in law, all achieved by our sisters before. Now we have those rights. Misogyny needs a new guise, donning a dress and calling itself the most oppressed. We defeated the old forms of misogyny and we'll beat this too.
She's another talent that we pay to be here. Let me just say the European Court of Human Rights is the reason that we have trans nonsense, actually the GRA, because they use the right to a private family life. So there's lots of places, and the Equality Act, whilst it might say that we know what sex is, and they may define it, and they may do the thing like, yeah, we know what it means. We already knew what sex meant. I don't know why we have to redefine it, but we do, and I'm not knocking that. But you have to prove that you have a legitimate reason to have a women's group. Just saying that you don't want any penises in it, it's not a good enough reason. And for me, that's not a good enough act. I just think if I want to have a meeting, a social meeting, whatever it is, an organising group, a political campaign that says women only, that's a legitimate aim. Like my want is a legitimate aim. I don't want to have to say, well, I just don't want Fred in here because he's got a penis and he's actually a man. I mean, that should just be obvious. So I do genuinely think we need to get rid of the Equality Act. We need a Women's Act. We need a Children's Act that actually works. At the moment, it doesn't. We need a Disability Rights Act, because actually when it comes to diversity and inclusion, the only people that genuinely excluded is people with disabilities. I think Tanni Grey-Thompson, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but Tanni Grey-Thompson at the moment is talking about the fact that they're getting rid of ticket offices. The same train companies that have their whole trains emblazoned with Pride Progress flags are actually getting rid of ticket offices that genuinely keep people with disabilities off the trains, and that's if there's a platform that they can actually fucking get on a train. Yes. So this whole inclusion thing is just so annoying, because no, come. I'm going to talk until you get here. It's just, not you, my love, this lady just behind you, and then you can speak next. There we go. All right. Oh, nice. Thanks.
Hello, this is the second time I've spoken here, and it is so good to be here. And I really do feel that we are in a crisis, and I have never felt more under threat as a woman than I do now. And I feel so politically let down by everybody across the board that I don't even know who to vote for. And I really feel, I want to vote. Women died so I could vote. But who am I going to vote for? Who can I trust? The party of women, exactly. So, not only is the political sphere not know what I am, then you've got handmaidens, because the tra-la-la lobby, there's not enough of them to do anything, so they're dependent on allies. Allies. I'm trying not to be really disparaging, but this lobby is supported by women. And I don't know how to even address that. And then on top of that, as Posie was saying earlier, you've got all these women groups telling women what to think, telling them what they should do, telling them this, telling them that. And I have fallen out of the feminist camp for a whole load of reasons that I won't go into, but basically for being the wrong kind of woman. And what I really appreciate about these is that it's not about being a kind of woman, it's about seeing sense. It's about standing up for reality and not going along with some insane driven madness. So if anyone's got any ideas of how to deal with the handmaidens, I really, really would. Do you think that's going to work? I'm going to practice, babe. Listen, when it's that desperate, you got to try you got to try anything. So I'm going to read a quick poem because I haven't got any other solution apart from poetry. It might be ineffective. And this is called We Are. For my mothers and my sisters, for my daughters, for womankind, and yes, for those of us who lost it, sold it, gave over bodies, lives and minds, I will hold the woman's space for us as it was held for me. I will hold all women safe, if only in my dreams. Thank you.
I'm telling you, that babe is properly great. It's 3 A's. 3 A's, 3 A's. I just, don't you think? Especially because it's sheep-like as well. It's definitely going to work. What? Would you like to speak? Yes. Can you let the lady through, please? Oh, and then, I'm so sorry. I haven't forgotten you. Hi. How are you? I'm going to pin this on you. Is that okay? There you go.
Hi everyone, I'm a bit shy, it's my first time. I have no hatred in me. I have great trans friends. I have all sorts of people in my life, but all my trans friends, from male to female, all think like men. If it was that easy to pump hormones into people, I do respect the small percentage of people who are transgender because of the sexual locations being swapped when they're born. So I do respect those people. But if giving hormones and changing body parts was that easy, heterosexuals who were in relationships when they didn't properly understand each other, I'd be a rich bitch. I could say, have some testosterone, have some estrogen, have it for the afternoon. Finally, we understand each other, and then back to life again. So the mind doesn't change. I'm not against anyone. I'm not against men. But I just wanted to put my point across. Regarding disability, everyone will come up to you and say, it's much better now, isn't it, for you? And all that kind of, no, it's not fucking much better. If I put you lot in a wheelchair for a month, you'd see the shit you get as a woman, the sexual shit I get of guys assuming that I'm not having sex, physical and sexual assaults on me, being stalked, being followed. And also, if I want to pop out today, hospitals are wheelchair accessible, even though the loos are fucked. The mirror's normally here and the emergency cord's over there. So if I put everybody in a wheelchair today and you wanted to go anywhere you want, 98% of places you won't be able to get into, or you'll be able to get into a certain area. I went to the Savoy the other day. I turn up and the guy looks at me. And I think, here we go, I bet it's going to happen. And he said, oh, yes, you can come in, you can use the loo. And I said, oh, really? Thank you. I am coming in, and I might use the loo. I happened to have to go to the loo. Then 3 guys waited outside for me, and I was just going to the bar. And they were saying, we're taking you this way. And I said, no, I'm going this way. No, we're taking you this way, because they decided where they were going to put me and where I'd shut up. I did go and check that bar space out. As usual, complete fire hazard. If you go campaigning for wheelchair access, what I call it, I should make a website called cripplecrap.com. Basically, I've had abuse, I've had threats, but the same lies are told. The same lies are, or the lift is broken, or there's a ramp coming, or I'm terribly sorry, we've got the builders in, we've lost the key, or yes, it's happening, or fuck off, or people like you aren't coming in, or I've been called, what have I been called? Fucking paraplegic, etc. Sorry for the swearing. People in wheelchairs do swear. I mean, do have sex too. So, if anybody, wherever you travel and wherever you go, if you could do me a favour and disabled people, elderly people and sick people, check and just say, you haven't got a disabled room here, or why isn't there, because it's illegal. I've already 3 businesses, I live in Bloomsbury, 3 brand new businesses have just opened, and it's accessible. Of course it's not, I can bloody get in there, I can't go anywhere, and I certainly can't use the loo, and I get treated like a spastic. But I'm a very strong woman, so I can chit-chat my way out of it, but I can feel it coming. Most intelligent people never ask somebody why they're in the wheelchair, ever. If you do, if people do, and they do, I tell them I've been fucked to death. So, and that's it really, so help. Cheers, and it's true as well. All right, thank you. Here's the women. Woo!
Thank you, I'm just going to...
Give us a kiss, please.
What's your name? Oh, Kelly. Oh God, it's so inappropriate, but so good. Okay, anyone else want to speak? It is raining, come. There you go. All right.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to remind everyone that although Keir Starmer has said that a woman is an adult female, he did not say a woman is an adult human female. Maybe he was trying to be inclusive of all vertebrates, I don't know. But about Canada, the lady from Canada was telling us how worried she is, and she's right, because I learned a few things yesterday which really shocked me. A nurse in British Columbia, a registered nurse, has been a nurse for 11 years, put up a billboard, a poster in Vancouver saying, I heart J.K. Rowling. I wonder where she got that idea. I don't know, but it looked very good. It was very big. She co-funded it. It wasn't entirely hers. And 2 people, of course, complained about it. Her College of Nursing and Midwives in British Columbia have threatened to take her license to nurse away.
Her name's Amy Han.
Her name's Amy Han. Okay, and that is happening to other people. It's happening to journalists like Jamil, can't remember his name, and Ezra Levant of Rebel News, Jamil Giovanni, who's a radio broadcaster, and this is about people's livelihood being taken away because they've said something wrong in their own time. And that's Canada. So don't let it happen here. Professional colleges are for the protection of the public. They're to make sure that doctors and lawyers and nurses and people like that practice to a good standard. They're not about policing what their members do in their spare time.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do this. Okay. All right, so it is now raining a lot, and we're nearly at 3 o'clock. And what I think is appropriate is that because the police come until 3, I like to wrap up before 3. Otherwise, I really do feel like it's taking the mickey, and I don't want to lose their goodwill. So. We come to let women speak. The beautiful thing about today is no TRAs came. I think that's the weather. Look, I'm not going to take it for granted that they won't come again, but boys, we win whether you come or not. And when they're not here, we just get to hear everybody a lot better. But when they are here, we get to show the world just what they're all about, which is silencing women. So, we came here today. We are gathered here today to say no woman has a penis, no man has a vagina, non-binary is nonsense, and transitioning children is profound abuse. It's too difficult. There's no rhythm to that bit. It's very difficult. Look. If you can gather here, standing next to people that not only might you not agree with, but you might not like very much, and you can do it because you know that it's really bloody important to actually show up and give your body to this space so people can speak, then I promise we will win. If you can, even though you're afraid, come and stand and speak and give your testimony about how you feel about this pernicious, quasi-religious, authoritarian cult, then I promise we will win. If you can, deeds not words, not trust the bollocks of mainstream politicians, but actually invest in a new kind of politics where normal people speak in normal ways and say words without preparation for how it will be spun, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Why? Because I never lose. Let's switch off.